Hi, I'm Roy. Ruthie, Carl, and I are going to talk to you in a minute. But before we do, I want to take a moment to thank you for all the ways you contribute to PCS. You really make a difference on a daily basis in people's lives. And oftentimes we don't get a chance to thank you like we want to. Part of getting anything done in life is being able to have a vision, to see of a possibility of change in our lives, or to see the possibility of something occurring. We have to first see it before we can then do it. Several years ago, I was in the hospital, and during that time period, I had people reaching out to me, meeting basic needs of mine before at times I even was able to express it. They'd move the bed or they'd offer me some water. These felt like very tender and touching and meaningful moments to me. The people out there that are hurting, we need to be angels to them. We need to be able to be sensitive and see what their needs are so that we can develop the kinds of treatment plans and ways of helping them in order to give them the ability to live great lives. So some of us believe in angels and some of us don't. But we all can find ways to be a little angelic in the people's lives that we work with on a daily basis. What do you think, Ruthie?
I believe in angels too, and actually I'd like to be an angel from time to time to somebody else in the way that we're talking about today. The executive board worked on putting together a vision statement, and we struggled with that for quite a while. What is a vision statement? Well, this is what we kind of came down to. A vision statement is a picture held in your mind's eye about the way things could be or should be in the future. And when you put together a vision statement, you want to paint a very graphic mental image. And then the last thing is you want to project into the future, but you're using the present tense. So it's actually pretending as if we're doing it now. That's the way the vision statement is put together. So the executive board, kind of struggled over these three questions. What problem do we hope to solve? Who's involved and what do they do? And what would success look like if we accomplished those things? So we came up with, the first thing was, all right, let's paint a picture. PCS, and this is also present tense, and here's the problem we want to solve. PCS is a beacon of hope and healing. And the next question is, who's involved and what are they supposed to do? Well, creative and passionate employees who foster meaningful relationships are the power that energizes that beacon's light. And what does success look like? Every interaction is an opportunity to communicate with respect and encouragement and to inspire hope for the future. So you put those three sentences together, and that has become our vision statement. And we just want to talk a little bit today about what that means and how we can all participate and be that angel who is taking every interaction to communicate with respect, with encouragement, and to inspire hope for the future. Right after we put that vision statement together, I went to a conference, and the keynote speaker was talking about providers, us, people like, companies like us, and how we can be the best. And there were a list of things, but one of them was customer service. And I thought, man, I would love us to be the best. I've just been on a website where I was buying some building product for our house. And my eye was just drawn over to this section on the website that was, people were just saying, customers, how wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And it's just on and on and on. And I thought, that is rigged. There is no way this place is that good. And then I thought, because we had just done the vision statement, I thought, what if our client said, every time I interact with those passionate, wonderful employees, I feel inspired and I have hope for the future. And I just got excited about that. And so I sent an email out about, customer service, what should we do? And I get this email back from Carl. Okay, let me just read to you what Carl sent in his email, and then we're going to get Carl to talk just a little bit about what this is. Okay, he says, once upon a time, there were 2 hospitals in a small town. Good Sam was on one side of the hill, and Pottsville Hospital was on the other. These 2 hospitals competed over patients, medical staff, physicians, contracts with industry, other healthcare providers, and the love of the townspeople. And then Carl went on to write about a remarkable journey with the nuns at the hospital.
That's right.
That he went on to work to change the hospital. Words like encourage, he says, hope, and inspire were littered throughout his email. And I went, we had respect, encouragement, and inspire hope in our vision statement. And I went, wow, this guy's a powerhouse of, implementing this thing. So, Carl, can you start out by just kind of telling us that first story that kind of grabbed me about you and sitting in the cafeteria?
Well, at the time, hello everyone. At the time, I was head of human resources over at the hospital, and I had the title of vice president. I was in my 30s, and I was very important. And I was in the hospital cafeteria, which was a large room, probably seated 200 people at least. And I was up in the front, sitting at a table with my important friends, and we were discussing very important things because I was a pretty important guy. And a woman walked in, and she was probably, my best guess, in her 60s, late 50s, 60s, and she was either homeless or, in tough financial straits, and she was also looking very confused, and she was obviously in distress, and she had a big bag and a crinkled dollar bill in her hand. And as soon as she walked in, she faced a line of vending machines, and we had a change machine there, and she didn't know what to do. And as time went on, I sort of watched her, and she got more and more confused. She looked up and saw all the people, and she became embarrassed. But I was a pretty important guy, discussing pretty important topics, and I ignored that voice inside which said, go help her. And I guess in moments like that, time seems to slow down because there's something really important happening. And but it doesn't seem important. It's just an older lady who's confused, not knowing what to do, and that voice saying, why aren't you helping her? Get up and help her. Well, as time went on, which was probably as seconds went on, an RN got up, and she got up not too easily. She was older, and she had some knee issues, and she got up there, and she took the dollar bill, put her arm around the woman, and guided her to the change machine and took care of her. And I never forgot about that, because that was what we used to call an inpatient, a learning experience, or an LE for me. I had to look at myself and my conduct at that time.
And what did you do afterwards?
Well, I do what all good Catholic boys do who work in a Catholic hospital. Was I confessed to one of my sister friends, Sister Joan, and she very clearly told me that I missed a golden opportunity. And I said, what are you talking about, a golden opportunity? I just didn't help this person. And she said to me, well, I know you didn't help this person, but how do you know it wasn't Jesus or an angel sent down to test you, and you blew it, she said.
Gently, of course.
Yes,
Right.
of course. And I thought even more about that, and I thought about all the quote-unquote golden opportunities that we have to help others that are presented to us and presented to me.
Absolutely.
And then I thought about how sometimes because of our own personal fears or stress, that we miss those opportunities. And the other thing I thought about with that event was the old concept of, I think it's displaced responsibility, where, well, I won't do that, Ruthie will do that, or Roy will do that, or Kyle will do that. I don't have to do that right now because I'm a pretty important guy talking about pretty important things.
Yeah, but you've never forgotten that story.
No, I
That was
have
a long
not.
time ago.
I have not.
And they're real character building moments. You know, when I've been there, sometimes I've gone to the vending machine, many times I haven't, to help that person who's different from me, which causes me a little bit of insecurity because
Mhm.
I've got to reach out, and you never know what reaction you're going to get. But they're character building moments that if you go to the vending machine, no matter what that other person says, you end up feeling better because you know you did it right, and you acted with integrity
Mhm.
versus other times.
It's funny you brought that up because I remember now, Sister, all those years ago, I remember her saying, it's easy to help easy people, and it's more difficult to help people who are difficult or, you know, just tough or a
It's lovely.
challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Real quick, one quick story, make this real quick. I'm riding down the road leaving seminary, so I just studied the Bible for the
Mhm.
day. And across this road, I see an airplane fly low and hit a telephone pole and disappear out in a field. Now, that's what I thought I saw.
Mhm.
But between me and that plane, it was a flat road, it was a mile or so away. And I thought, I think I just saw this. And all these cars are coming and going, and nobody stops. So by the time I get to the spot, you know, I'm shocked. And I see that there's a plane out in the field. Nobody stops. I mean, it's like an everyday event, you know. So I race out into this field. The plane is upside down, and I'm gonna, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have a book for how to do this, and I'm gonna help the guy out of the plane or whoever's in there and get them help and all this. And the guy, by the time I get to the plane, because it's so far out, he falls out of the plane because it's upside down. He's the only one in. And he looks at me and he says, "Well, what do you want?"
Angel!
And I went, well, you know, I just wanted to make sure you're okay. You know, and so I just turn around, you know, because he's not happy. He just hit a telephone pole. I understand that. And I'm walking away, and then you hear this, "Thank you." You know. So the point is that when you reach out in customer service, there is a risk.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
But I go, what's the price if I am like everybody else and I don't stop and I don't go out and get the
Right.
plane?
Exactly.
I know Carl has some more things to share with
He
you.
does. Okay, so that time, you know, Sister Joan told you screwed up. Okay.
Oh, very
Yeah.
clearly.
But.
And with
th-
great
there was
enthusiasm.
yeah. she was enthusiastic. There was a time when, you know, you were in Catholic school, you were a lot younger, and perhaps you were one that maybe needed some help. I don't know, why was it that maybe you needed some encouragement?
Well, I recall, you know, that word encourage, to give courage or to bring someone up. I remember a period of time where I was learning control of my behavior. It was in my junior or senior year, I don't recall now. It's been a while ago. And I remember that the disciplinarians at the school felt it would be best for me to be in a secluded area of the library in between bookshelves with just a small area of exit where the sisters could help me with my behavior. And so during change of classes, my friends would walk by and, you know, say encouraging things to me, being facetious, and maybe throw a few items in there at me. And after about 2 months of that, I was about ready to leave school. But there was, and I don't even remember her name, but there was one sister. And I don't know if this was contrived and in a good way or just it was her. But every day she would walk by and give me some encouragement. Just a little encouraging word, like don't give up, or how you doing today? And it was only 30 seconds maybe, but boy oh boy, I'm convinced that those 30 seconds, that recognition, one human being to another, from her heart to my heart, probably kept me in school. And what is amazing is the power of those types of interactions. It's almost like one human being giving another human being medicine, spiritual medicine maybe. You know?
Just a few words.
Just a few words. You know, I'm looking over there at that flower on the wall, and I recall another time when I was in school, when I was in college, I was pretty tired, and you know, I was working my way through school, and you know, it wasn't particularly a bad day. I was just exhausted. And I remember there was a kindergarten, like grade school next to the college there at Kutztown. When I was walking to my car, and this little girl ran up with a flower and just handed it to me. And I noticed, it just picked me up. And I said, thank you. And she said, okay, mister. And she was very happy. And then when I turned around, I saw that all the little kids were doing that. You know, and I guess the teacher taught them to do that. And it was just so cool. And it was just, again, 10 seconds. That's all it took. Just a look, a smile.
That's copy for a great advertisement right there. Man, wow. You also told a story about a colorful friend that you had, Maggie.
She was a woman from Brooklyn who used to work in the inpatient that I worked in. And she was about 5'2" or 3. And I had big guys working there, 6'4", 6'3", tough guys. But for some reason, when Maggie was on the floor and when she was working with those kids, everybody listened. Her word, I think she had a will of steel. And it wasn't about this, it was about this. And the kids knew that she cared about them, but the kids also knew that she wasn't going to take any guff, and she would go as far as she needed to go with that. Well, one day, I was walking in from the parking lot to my office, and there was like a walkway with rocks, boulders. And what she did is she wrote the name of the facility, and then she wrote the golden opportunity. And then she painted our values on each rock. And it was interesting because I used to live near Muhammad Ali's camp, and he had at his gym up there in Deer Lake, he had the heavyweight champions listed on all the boulders as sort of a testimony. Maggie did it to sort of lift up our values. And she taught the kids every day that this was your golden opportunity. This was an opportunity for you to turn things around. And she was about values, she was about integrity, she was about encouragement, she was about all those things that we can wear every day on our backs with the PCS shirt. Just a little reminder, and it was just a real inspirational thing she did, out of the blue.
That was very inspirational and creative,
Mm-hmm.
too. And
Absolutely.
the kids got into it.
Yes, they did.
Well, you sort of had, last time we talked, you had sort of this closure from a movie that you liked.
Yes. The movie, I won't tell you the movie, but you'll figure it out. Maybe, some of you will. When I was working at the hospital, we had the employee picnic, and I was picking up some papers at the end of the picnic, and one of the sisters ran up to me and said, "This is great, this is great." I thought she was going to yell at me for something. But she said, "This is great, this is great." I said, "What's great?" "Well, you're picking up papers, you're trying to leave," and she went into this discussion about leaving each place better than you found it. And I thought about that, and years later, I was watching this movie, and at the end of the movie, it was the very end of the movie, one of the characters said to the other character, "Be excellent to each other." And I thought about that, and even though it was a comedy, it was sort of a corny movie. Some of you probably are remembering that. I'll give you a hint, Keanu Reeves. Be excellent to each other. And that simple statement for me, I think, epitomizes what that golden opportunity is. We are presented with a number of opportunities to be excellent to each other for our time here. It's a finite number of opportunities. And it's never too late to be excellent to each other. Not only our clients, but to our coworkers, and to those folks who are those hidden heroes that don't get recognized every day. You know, the support staff, or, you know, even the guy who empties the waste cans at nighttime, or, you know, our one counselor who has the office in the back, who we never talk to or hear about much, but who's there every day and does that extra effort. So we be excellent to each other, and maybe things will get better.
Absolutely. Yep, if we can make every interaction convey hope and inspire hope for the future, and do it with encouragement and respect, I think we'll be well on our way to making our vision statement happen.
You know, this room is the room where we do executive staff. Ruthie's sitting in her spot, Carl's in my seat temporarily. So this is the room where we have lots of conversations regarding where PCS ends up and what policy procedures have to exist, and you know, what's going on outside our PCS world that could come over and affect our world. And I've been in this room for a lot of years, and I'm comfortable with it. We have difficult conversations, challenging conversations. We laugh a lot in here. But I'm comfortable in this room. And because I'm comfortable, when someone else walks in this room, I may be completely unaware of how uncomfortable they are in this room. You know, when people proceed towards getting counseling or opening up their lives as they share their difficulty with their child, or their fears about their husband's faithfulness, or whatever the issue may be that we're dealing with, a lot of people around us as they approach PCS are really uncomfortable. They're not feeling good about what's going on in their lives. And they approach our world just as I was uncomfortable with those machines and nurses coming in and out, and people having conversations, and me not being aware. I need someone to give me some ice. I need someone to reach out who was comfortable in that world and make their world a little more the world now I'm a part of, that I'd rather not be a part of. I could become comfortable in it. So, you know, what you and I take for granted is that, hey, this is PCS, and, you know, I'm good with autistic children, or I'm part of family-based, you know, or I'm part of MST, or, you know, I'm an outpatient therapist, and these are my, that's your comfort zone. But, you know, we face people all around us all day long that are times outside their comfort zone. I remember a very devastating event in my young career. It's kind of interesting to me because as you get older, when people don't assume that you were ever sitting there shaking and fearing getting your job done, because they project onto you this great amount of confidence, etc., or narcissism, whatever it is, when in reality, and I remember I was a counselor at a practice, my grad school, I was in a PhD program, And we had a counseling center there. And I had to call the police because someone threatened suicide and went click. And the police went out and to stop the person, hopefully from committing suicide. And the person that I sent the police to was not a happy camper. So she was, we had the counseling center in some part on the same floor as I had my classes. And here while I'm in class with my fellow students, my client shows up and starts running up and down the hall screaming and cursing about this young therapist named Roy Smith. It was amazingly embarrassing to me because the whole school, I felt like, knew how lousy a therapist I was, minimally because this person showed up and did all this. Again, I was comfortable, not comfortable. And you know, afterwards, a woman I barely knew walked up and said, I would like if you'd take a few minutes and walk across the street so I could buy you any flavor of basket of Robbins ice cream cone you want. That was an angel. I was uncomfortable. I was embarrassed. And a person said, I want to stop my world and reach out with an act of kindness, an act that I would call love, and be able to do that. What we'd like you to do now is just take a few moments in your group, and I'd like you to just first give yourself 30 seconds to 45 seconds of quietness when this thing is over. And then, and what I'd like you to do is get in a time in your life where something was going on and you were outside your comfort zone or afraid or something, and someone reached out with an ice cream cone. Maybe not an ice cream cone, but some way that they reached out, and when you look back on it, they were like an angel to you in that moment in time that you never forgotten. And it could have been a long time ago. It could have been just today, where someone stepped out beyond what they had to do, gave you good customer service, respected who you were as a human being, and somehow let you know temporarily, I feel what you feel, you're valuable, and I want you to feel better and more comfortable. So give yourself 45 seconds, and then let's have a brief conversation where everybody can share in a room a time that someone ministered to their needs, as a way of us starting to get within us a recognition of how at times we want to be that person in someone else's life as well. So until we talk again, take care. And I wish I could hear some of the stories you're about to tell, because these are meaningful stories. Thank you.